This Dvar Torah is dedicated by our dear friends Brenda and Harold Walt in honor of the Shloshim of Brenda's father, Jack Plax, Zichrona Livracha. Jack was a remarkable man who exemplified both resilience and kindness, and whose memory will burn bright in the hearts and minds of his lovely family and many friends whose lives he touched. May his memory always be for a blessing. One year, Rav Shlomo of Karlin's Hanukkah menorah was placed too close to the wall, and the candles left a black mark. After Hanukkah, his family members wanted to clean the wall off and remove the black marks. Rav Shlomo of Karlin refused to let them clean it, and he said, "I'd rather leave the candles mark so that their roshem, their impression, can be felt the whole year long." And it's true that in the darkness of winter, even after Hanukkah is over, the candles can leave us with light both physically and psychologically and spiritually to strengthen us, to hopefully keep us safe and keep us going the rest of the year. These marks from the menorah can also help us better understand a dramatic moment in our Parsha of Vayigash. After Yosef reveals himself to the brothers, he sends them back to Canaan with wagons to transport his father Yaakov and the family down to Mitzrayim after so many years apart. When the brothers inform Yaakov that Yosef is alive and is an Egyptian viceroy, he is shocked, understandably, and doesn't believe them. But then, by the Debru Elav es kol divrei Yosef, Vayaret hagalot asher shalach Yosef. They related him the words of Yosef, and he sees the wagons that Yosef had sent, which revives the spirit of Yaakov. The commentaries are intrigued about the wagons. And Rashi famously explains, based on the Medrash, that Yosef's message included a clue. Siman masar lehem b'ma haya osek keshapirish mimenu. It was a clue, it was a proof to his father that it was indeed Yosef. And the message was that I, Yosef, recall that the last topic we learned together, before I was separated from you 22 years earlier, was the portion of Egla Arufa, the decapitated calf. And the Egla Arufa refers to the ceremony of decapitating a calf as atonement for an unsolved murder right outside a city. The word Egla means calf, but etymologically it's similar to the word agalot, which are wagons. So through these wagons, Yosef was sending a coded message to Yaakov, hinting at the last thing they learned together. And this is what revived Yaakov. I want us to wonder, what in the world is the Medrash telling us? What is Yosef really trying to communicate? And I believe the answer could be that Yaakov was a broken man who had been devastated for years that his time with Yosef had been cut short. And now, after such a lengthy time apart, after all the trauma, Yosef desires to send a message to his father that will be uplifting. He therefore reminds him of the last topic that they learned, of Egla Arufa. What's comforting about breaking the neck of a calf? It's gory, maybe, but not that uplifting. But on second thought, what happened? It was a murder, and it was a murder mystery. A man has been killed near the city's boundaries. Before the ceremony with the calf, the elders of the city gather together, and they declare, Yodenu lo shafchu et hadam hazeh. Our hands did not commit this crime of bloodshed. Are we really suspecting the elders of murder? That's an outrageous allegation. And the rabbis explain that we don't suspect the rabbis of murder, but rather we suspect that the elders created a society which doesn't treat its visitors warmly. We suspect that the traveler was sent off from the city below Levaya and below Mizanot, without escort and without food and provisions, which made him vulnerable on his trip. The elders therefore declare, in their own defense, that we have fulfilled our responsibility, we have provided food and provisions to the traveler. And the message here is that the responsibility of hospitality doesn't end when the travelers leave your purview. You need to walk them out a little bit, and you need to equip them with the resources to make it for the next part of their trip, for the next part of their lives. And if you give them a warm meal when they're with you, that's important. But even more critical is to give them the confidence, the resources, the tools to be successful way beyond. So Yosef is saying to his father, Yaakov, I can imagine your pain. And we're both upset about the years we missed together. But don't think that your impact on my life ended when we were separated. What we learned, what you taught me, your values, your guidance, stayed with me my entire life. When Mrs. Potiphar seduced Yosef, our tradition teaches us that it was the Demus Dukna, was the image in the window that kept him on the right path of his father. He saw his father in the window, and that led him and gave him the strength to make the right decision. And so even far away in Mitzrayim, Yosef is able to do the right thing and stay on the path, and the name of God is always on his tongue, because that is what he learned as a boy in the house of Yaakov. And so the message from Yosef was really about Egla Rufa. The Egla Rufa, the decapitated calf, and the whole story about the elders coming out is all about the food and provisions. You need to provide the visitors so that he's successful beyond, and that the impact that you have must go beyond and accompany the person on his journeys. Yosef is offering his father nechama. And it wasn't all lost time. The short amount of time that we had in those 17 years before I was separated from you impacted me so greatly that it stayed with me the entire time. Vatachi Ruach Yaakov. Yaakov was tremendously uplifted by this message, that he may not have been physically by his side, but he really was by his side the whole time. I think this is an incredible lesson for parents, grandparents, teachers, and all, that the roshem we make through word and example, the impression that we make, can be felt for a long time. Just like the black mark from the Hanukkah menorah on the wall, that the Kalman Arav wanted to continue to inspire us going forward, the Egla Rufa and Yaakov to Yosef, it was an inspiring example, and we could do that for other people as well. And one of the things really that made Yosef a tzaddik, and as Yaakov makes the impression upon Yosef, and Yosef himself makes that positive impression on each place that he travels to. And that's one of the things that makes him a tzaddik, was that every place he went was better than when he arrived, whether it's the house of Potiphar, or prison, or Paro, or Mitzrayim. Yaakov left his mark on Yosef, but Yosef also, wherever he went, he understood this idea of that our actions have consequences, and we can make a difference in a negative way, but hopefully we want to make it in a positive way. And Yosef left his mark on each place that he lived. 2020 has been an incredibly hard year. And now that it's coming to an end, especially with vaccination on the horizon, but still the numbers frighteningly and alarmingly high here in this area and also throughout the country. And so with this combination of emotions, with fear, but also with encouragement and optimism, as we end this year, maybe take a few moments to reflect on how we can leave 2020 better than we arrived. What mark have we made on this year? And what mark has it made upon us? And what have we done to strengthen our families, to help those around us, to become better, more compassionate, more sensitive people? And what could we still do? I'm inspired by the resilience of our community. I'm proud of what all of you have been able to accomplish despite the challenges. And I encourage each of you, all of us, to reflect on the mark that you've made, the difference that you're making in the lives of others, and double down on that. And we will carry those lessons we've learned this year forward with us on all our journeys to be even better people when we emerge on the other side. Shabbat Shalom.